The anti-capitalism is a broad brush term for opposition to the economic system. Capitalism, by which individuals own the means of production and are free to maximize their profits. The concept of capitalism, rooted in individualism and private ownership, has been a subject of debate and controversy since its inception. The economic philosophy that champions free market competition, private property rights, and profit maximization has faced critique based on its potential for creating wealth disparity and perpetuating exploitation. Arguably, fascism is often viewed as a form of anti-capitalism due to its tendency to weld together corporatist interests with the power of the state, thereby diminishing the freedom of individual enterprise. Fascism, with its focus on centralized control, hints at a kind by favoring the interests of the state over those of individual capitalists. It tends to concentrate power in the hands of the state, leaving less room for private enterprise and thus posing a challenge to the individualist ethos of capitalism. However, more apparent and recognized opponents of capitalism are socialism and communism. These ideologies seek to replace private ownership and profit-driven motivations with a community-centered approach where resources are shared and the common good prioritized. The shared ownership of resources and the means of production espoused by both socialism and communism marks a stark departure from the capitalist principle of private enterprise. Karl Marx, one of the most influential figures in shaping the discourse around capitalism, predicted that capitalism would end because it inherently exploited the working class. He argued that the capitalist system thrived on the labor of workers, who were not adequately compensated for their efforts. The exploitation of workers, according to Marx, was a necessary condition for the functioning of capitalism and would eventually lead to its downfall. Adding another dimension to the critique of capitalism are religious objections. Historically, certain religious groups have opposed some of capitalism on moral and ethical grounds. The Roman Catholic Church, for example, has traditionally forbidden usury, or the practice of charging excessive interest on loans, as a form of economic exploitation. Similarly, Islam forbids charging interest on loans, a practice known as riba, which is considered unjust and exploitative. Despite these criticisms, most economists regard capitalism as the most effective means of both increasing and distributing economic growth. They point to the significant economic progress made in capitalist societies, where competition and innovation have driven unprecedented increases in living standards and wealth. The emphasis on individual initiative and enterprise, they argue, fosters creativity and innovation, fueling economic growth and prosperity. However, opponents of capitalism frequently accuse it of harmful excesses, such as the exorbitant rewards for bankers and corporate executives that contribute to income inequality. They argue that the capitalist system incentivizes the pursuit of profit at all costs, often leading to unethical business practices and a disregard for social welfare and environmental sustainability. Another frequent critique is the alleged damage capitalism inflicts on the environment in the relentless quest for growth. Detractors point to the overexploitation of natural resources, pollution, and climate change as evidence of capitalism's destructive impact on the environment. As a system based on continuous growth and consumption, capitalism, they argue, is inherently unsustainable and poses a significant threat to the planet's ecological balance. In conclusion, while capitalism has its proponents and critics, the debate around it remains an ongoing and evolving discourse. Though most economists consider capitalism as the most effective means of both increasing and distributing economic growth, opponents frequently accuse it of harmful excesses, be they lavish rewards for bankers and bosses or damage to the environment in the quest for growth.